The galaxy hates us. It's not particularly anyone's fault, though. As it turned out, espionage was something that had become outdated in galactic warfare. So, most species had grown rather used to the fact that they wouldn't be spied on, and took very notable offense when, soon after first contact, humanity tried to do exactly that. The UGCS's major intelligence agency was given a very broad task upon discovery of the galactic alien community: figure out a tactic that humanity could use against every major governing body in the galaxy, should we come to blows with any one of them. Make no mistake, at the time, Operation Underdog was a necessity in our eyes. Humanity was seen as a bunch of monkeys with sticks by most of the aliens out there, and it stood to reason that the highly advanced aliens would know what they were talking about. And as such, it was an unexpected event to learn that, soon after its start, the operation was massively successful in completing its objectives. A quick, easy counter-strategy on military vulnerability of nearly every alien government in the Milky Way was discovered, and in an astoundingly quick time frame. In practicality, however, the operation was a massive failure. Really, all it did was piss off the entire galaxy and tell us that any general with half a brain cell could decimate most of the alien forces out there in the wider galaxy. As it turned out, most every extraterrestrial military force had settled into a sort of norm with how they fought wars. It was all about who had the fancier plasma gun or the better laser deflectors or plasma absorbers. After ages of warfight just evolving into a technological dick-measuring contest, tactics had managed to become a thing of the past for them. But not for humanity. And it was a good thing, too. Because we had just managed to piss off the entire galaxy in one fell swoop. I idly scanned the planet again for any more fucking Xenos. The plan was to see if the UGCS could set up a colony here, and if angry aliens were on it, then would need to do a little extra prep work to get things ready, or, if not angry aliens were on it, which, while they existed, was certainly far and few between, then would need to scratch this off the list of potential colonies altogether. The orbital scans came up mixed. Usually, it was a solid negative or positive. It never tended to come up with middling readings. This was odd. I investigated the scan's findings, trying to obtain a look at the anomaly. Nothing on later, but radar got a solid 100% hit. It wasn't hard to gather that it was, indeed, the outline of an alien destroyer ship, and from the massive blur in the EM readings in that area, it looked like it was outfitted with shields that made anything humanity produced look childish. Especially considering humanity had only recently gotten a hold of shielding tech from dead or derelict ships as spoils of war. I couldn't help but snicker. They had done a lot of planning for this. A big-ass ship that was completely invisible to the naked eye and armed to the teeth. A trap laid right at the foot of an enticing target that humanity would no doubt be sending ships to. Too bad that they didn't cover all the bases when making their stealth tech. It was actually sad. A little bit. I almost felt bad about reporting their coordinates, like I was ratting out that one troublemaking kid, even though they did something really fucking clever. Almost felt bad. Anyways, I decided I'd save my pity after figuring out which alien nation it was from the design. There were thousands of different space countries out there, but a few hallmark big hitters in the war tended to supply most of the ships. The angular look of the outline, elongated frame, curved bridge. Oh, wow. I suddenly felt infinitely less bad. These were X6. Vicious little fucking grasshopper-looking things. Also a little bit cannibalistic. Or, well, not cannibalistic, but sapiophagic. Not that there was really much of a difference. You don't eat sapient fucking species, whether they are the same species or not. That, and I'm pretty sure they still had slaves. I could feel my sympathy very quickly fading away as I realized the identity of the ship's designers. A good thing, too, as I saw the signature flash of a one-way warp in the direction of the ship, followed a minute or two later by the flash of the nuclear warhead. Another thing that pissed me off about space, they fucking thought nukes were antiquated. I idly watched the debris fly into a million different directions, slightly irate at the thought. Slowly, debris plinked and sizzled across my ship's shields harmlessly. The explosion finally faded to nothing, with a large portion of dangerous debris flying past without incident as I decided that it was time to earn my pay. There was some search and rescue to do for any survivors, and then scrap identification to give the resource boys a good starting point. As I gave the signal, the small army of drones in the bay flew out at my command, buzzing forward to investigate what remained of the irradiated wreckage. I couldn't help but feel a bit numb as I watched the drones float past melted chunks of metal alloys and the occasional bug limb or corpse. It was just so easy. The fights were always so one-sided that it wasn't even a challenge out here. I knew it was a weird thing to be disappointed about, but I hadn't so much as broken a sweat in all of my engagements in outer fucking space, and mine had been a very full career. Of course, I never got cocky. That was a quick way to earn my first, and very easily my last, loss. But, Jesus Christ, how could advanced alien races with technologies we could only dream of provide as much of a tactical challenge as an amateur child in a chess tournament? I absent-mindedly watched the camera displays from the drones as they avoided playing bumper cars with sizzling ship hull. I hardly noticed as one feed blipped out a few hundred meters from where the escape pods used to be. It was probably just a bit of unexpected rubble. I barely paid it any attention as I sent another to make sure there weren't any gaps in the drone's search pattern. It did catch my eye, however, when that drone blipped out as well. I doubted that was a coincidence. So, curiously, I scanned the area from afar this time. Something was here, and it didn't want to be found. With a few taps of the keyboard, sending a command to the egghead down in drone control, a handful of robotic minions spread out in a net, carefully monitoring the area from all angles. I couldn't see anything in particular, except for a pair of escape pods. It seemed there were some survivors. Oh good, more paperwork. I didn't particularly wish all the aliens had died, but, well, I wasn't a fan of paperwork, either. I huffed in annoyance as I flew a drone in. It was going to be my bait for whatever fucking Xeno was taking potshots at my searches. It flew near the pods, and in a blur of motion, a chunk of what I had thought was merely debris turned liquid and impaled the hapless drone, right as the video feed of the targeted camera cut out. I watched from a different angle with a raised brow. The chunk of space metal shifted and morphed itself like a metallic ooze, returning to its deceptive appearance. Now this was something I could have a little fun with. Sure, the drones could all blow it out of the sky without a second thought, but there might be a cheaper alternative than to expend that much ammunition. I distinctly remembered this tech from my experience in Operation Underdog. Vicitus, bona fide telepathically controlled and powered drones. The pride of every exit commander, captain, lieutenant, sergeant, just about anyone in their cannibal army who was of import had one of these things. It was honestly more or less useless as an actual drone, due to its limited connection range of only about 60 feet, but it was a good denominator of status, from what I remember. Whoever was in this pod was experienced with their little drone, too. So was this the ship captain? Or maybe even a fleet commander? Him. On a hunch, I checked the radar and EM readings again. It was mostly clear for now, but I noticed an odd, thin line on radar. A signal, I realized. Shit. I urgently pressed down on the ship intercom link. High alert, everyone. The fucking Xenos are trying to get a signal out. In the same breath, I directed a drone to analyze the signal and send the data to Alan in engineering. He was quick to grab the info pack and begin deciphering what the Xenos were saying for me. As soon as the data started to feed down to him, I opened a private channel. Oh, what the hell am I looking at? I said with urgency. It caught me a little off-footed when I heard him snicker through the comms. All clear, Cap'n. The signal was supposed to be sent through a portal that's not there anymore. It's a signature EXIC FTL radio running on backup batteries. Now, though, whatever signal it was trying to send is just being blasted into the void, at regular radio signal speeds and with no set direction anymore. I breathed a sigh of, well, I wanted to say relief, but I would have been a liar if I said I wasn't a little disappointed. Even when they managed to do something unexpected, they just flopped. I wanted to just get this over with. Fucking Xenos. Man. I hit the comm button with a sigh. False alarm, everyone. Stay alert, but we should still be clear. I waited a few seconds before typing out a quick report to Overwatch about both their effect on target and the potential of more ships soon. I hit send and leaned back away from the console. Medi called up from her station in the medbay. I heard you over the intercom. Is the old lady disappointed that she doesn't get to fight the aliens in fair combat? The ship doctor/field medic teased. I rolled my eyes before answering the comm. Yeah, I suppose I am. With all due respect, we need to get you a date, she teased. Do that and I'll have you scrubbing fucking toilets, Medi, I rebutted as I directed a small army of drones. But, I started, does it not get to you at all? Aliens that want us dead, all with technological advancements beyond our wildest dreams, but they're so fucking awful at warfare that we just win. I asked, slowly cycling in on the Victus drone. It just feels wrong. If you say so, Captain. I am enjoying my free paychecks. However, she mouthed. I slowly blinked at the comm in annoyance. Not that Medi would see it. One day, you're gonna earn that pay, I forewarned. Well, I don't think that it's going to be this one in particular, she commented. I could already see her lazily slouched against one of her empty medbay beds in my mind's eye, or even lying on one of the fucking medbays. I would have been dragged around the ship by the ear by my superior if I had ever pulled a stunt like that before I got my own ship, but, well, the landscape had transformed, to say the least. The alien enemies were all pushovers. Humanity was largely working together against the common alien threat, and the only fighting that was ever done was the kind where we just kind of won 90% of the time. Before I turned into some old woman going back in my day, I decided to refocus on the task at hand. The drones had positioned the space debris. I sent another bait drone, and sure enough, the enemy Victus slowly hovered over, preparing to spike the next drone. With zeal, I enacted the plan, having 10 drones blast a piece of debris into the Victus device, pushing it out of range with their thrusters bottomed out. The super drone with a range of a whole 50 feet got stuck in front of the small chunk of wall as it launched into the abyss, before it sputtered and shook as it floated away, completely disconnected from its owner's telepathic range. There, you feisty bastard, I commented to myself. Your shitty drone is gone. From here, my job was simple enough. Get the fucks to the nearest overcramped POW camp and make them someone else's problem. That was how it usually went. So much so that I had developed a process. As the drones flew them over to the cargo bay, I rang up the ship medic again. Hey, Medi, I asked, opening the comm again. I could barely hear her sigh under her breath. What is it that you need me to do, Captain? Medi questioned, dutifully hiding her annoyed undertone. We've got a batch of rescues coming in the cargo bay dock. You're gonna need the suit on so you can give them their chemo shots. Not sure they'll be very complacent. Medi sighed, not bothering to quiet her displeasure this time. Give me a few minutes. Don't take too long. I'm dumping them in the bay now. Yes. With that said, I focused back on the drones. The 2 pods were being shuttled into the cargo bay, and I checked the magnets. Ready to go. This should go smoothly as long as they didn't immediately start shooting up my cargo bay. I watched intently as they opened the door, and they immediately started fucking shooting up my cargo bay. Fuck! Shit! I slammed the activation button for the magnets, and their weapons flew up to the ceiling. Sitting still for a moment, I settled back down and rested my forehead in my palm. Fucking Xenus! I continued to massage my face as I mentally calculated how much time I'd need to spend buffing out the scorch marks myself, since apparently that wasn't something I could send any of my underlings to do, according to the regs manual. Something about cosmetic damage, or some bullshit. Cosmetic my ass. Be on your guard. They're intent on being little shits. I alerted Medi. I could practically hear the annoyed eye roll over the comm. I will keep my eyes open, Captain. The medic nearly grumbled. I idly reminisced again about how that type of talk would have resulted in 200 subsequent laps around the entire ship if this had been pre-contact. Now, it was just a given. As Medi slipped into the massive metal suit, I watched the fucking Xenos to be sure they didn't pull out any surprises. Climbing out of a captured escape pod was a group of bug-like creatures, but only one of them was an Exig. Wait, those were the Dash. Crap, the Rexikix. Something like that. I think, before Operation Underdog became galactically public knowledge, they did a couple joint military training exercises with the UGCS. I kind of felt bad about how things with them had gone, but we hardly knew any better at the time. The Rexikix guy, there's no way I wasn't butchering that name, were tall and lanky, kind of humanoid in posture, with thick chitin brows on their head kind of like hammerhead sharks, and muddy brown skin. Visibly, they were obviously insectoid, but not in a way that would really set off your average insectophobe, unlike the X6. As I curiously watched the feeds, eventually, Medi finished suiting up, clicking on the comms and pulling me from my thoughts. With thick metal beams and pistons distributing the weight of the armor into the ground, the medic loudly trotted into the cargo bay with a heavy verklang following each step. The Xenos scattered like flies to the far corners of the bay, trying their best to avoid the giant hulking metal medic suddenly within their midst. "All right. Attention, aliens," Medi announced to the cargo bay. "You have received a dangerous dose of radiation from the nuclear detonation that destroyed your ship." I watched the X6 stalk up behind her on cams, likely beeping on the close-range radar in her suit too. "Hey, grasshopper guy, you're not fucking sneaky." As soon as I called him out, he lunged at Medi, hopelessly clawing away at a steel suit. Medi shook her head, continuing forwards. "All right," Medi announced. "I'm not going to force anyone to take their injections. However, if you don't, then your chances of severe health complications later in life skyrocket," she carefully explained. I boredly watched as the Rexikix muttered and clacked amongst each other in a quiet group, seeming to debate their next move. Then, as a group of 4, they timidly stepped out from behind the battered escape pod. "What is the purpose of these injections?" the new leader asked as the Exik angrily gnawed ineffectively on Medi's steel carapace. She looked at him with light bewilderment. "Do you mean other than stopping the health complications that I just informed you about?" Medi asked incredulously. "No. Why would you help prisoners of war?" he wondered, the telepathic signal from his translator flailing to connect with a much simpler translation speaker on Medi's armor. Right. That would require about 300 years of human history to explain, and I am a medic, not a middle school teacher. Are you taking your shots, or not? I get the impression Mr. Angry Grasshopper over here will be rejecting his. Fight or die, cowards, the Exik screeched at its allies, before continuing its attempted assault. Right. Give me a moment to deal with this one, Medi requested, her gauntleted hand swiftly wrapping around both the grasshopper's hands in a blur of motion. The Exik seemed entirely befuddled for a moment, before the gloves fell loose, and the weight of the steel gauntlets fell to the floor, dragging the Exik with. I admit, I definitely laughed my ass off at that one. CCKK. Pathetic Virik. Prove me a worthier soldier, he roared, unable to move from the gauntlets. Don't worry, the Exik will get his own cell, separate from your own. If you'd like, we can give you all one cell, or you can all get your own. We have enough of them to go around, so, it's your choice, she monotonely explained. I could have swore I saw a grin at the corner of her mouth as the Exik hurled an endless barrage of alien obscenities at her, stuck in place by its hefty cuffs. Grinning myself, I clicked the PA system for the cargo bay. All right, Medi, hurry up. We still gotta survey all the different coordinates to see if the planet's viable or not, I reminded her. Eventually, the Rexes finally approached, standing in front of her in a single file line. All right, now, hold out your wrist, and I will administer your injection one at a time. I swapped back off the feed, figuring Medi could handle herself if anything happened, as I turned my attention to the planet. Looking at the bright blue orb, it seemed like a stable water world, but only the scans would be able to confirm it. I tapped away at the keyboard, sending a command to the ship to begin the scanning processes. I myself wouldn't be able to make heads or tails of whatever came up, but I had a crew for a reason, as well as an onboard AI, who I just now realized was being unusually quiet. You okay, Sammy? I asked warily. I wasn't exactly keen on being the first to take the new military tech for a test drive, but so far there hadn't been any hiccups. Yes, I was just thinking, he responded through the speaker. Thinking about what? Stuff and things. I was going to kill whatever egghead programmed sarcasm and a southern accent into a robot. I could practically hear whatever classified as a smack from an AI brimming from him, as I glared at the camera in the corner of the bridge. "Oh, don't be like that, Cap'n. I was just running numbers on TH Planet and the wreckage is all. Well as monitoring all active duty crew, marking sure Medi's safe, double-checking the camera, and running shield equations. Fixin' shields for gamma rays ain't a walk in TH Park YA no, it's not. Yeah, you're a real groundbreaking piece of hardware." The code let out an exaggerated gasp. "Why, I really mean it, Cap'n." "Ugh, shut up and finish your damn numbers," I groaned. "Will do, Ma Dash." "Wait." I looked up at the camera. "Don't leave me hanging. Sami, what's going on?" "I'm trying to figure that out himself. We've got readings from TH Planet." "What kind of readings?" Yes. Jackass. What the fuck am I working with? Sami. Give me something, I ordered. Live signatures and radio broadcasts, mainly. Odd thing is, though, TH solar radiation's J's too steep for a permanent structure, or even sustaining any type of life with the planet's underperforming magnetic field. We're getting readings. Yeah, but we shouldn't be, the AI simplified. My brow furrowed as I hit the intercom. "Jack, check on the eyes program real quick for me." "Ah, will do," he dutifully complied. I need someone to control the drones in my absence." I sighed, looking up at the camera with a tilted brow. "Already taking control. Second escape pod's empty by the way," the AI informed. "Oh, fuck you," it swore. "No errors in Sami's processes." "He's got a clean bill of health still," Jack piped in. "Thanks, Jack. In that case, mind telling me what we're seeing?" I wondered, forwarding Sami's findings to him. "Will do. First glance, we've got radio signals and life signs. Not much in the way of a magnetic field. So that dash. Heh," he wondered aloud. "Talk to me." "Well, from what it looks like, the radiation levels are way too high to keep anything down there still alive, and any radio broadcaster should have been fried within an hour. I suppose they could have a shield on the planet's surface. But it's broadcasting the distress signal from the ship we J's turned into slag," Sami finished. I raised an eyebrow at that. "Sami, is Medi done showing the prisoners to their cells?" I asked. "Yes, Good. Tell her we're gonna need the power armor."